Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda Madhavam. Okay, let's read verses 20 to 22. Parastasmatu bhavonyah avyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati avyaktokshara ityuktah tamahuh paramam gatim yam prapyana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Purushassa parah partha bhaktya labhyastvananyaya yasyantasthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. Okay, so last week we saw that in this whole creation, or we should say cycle of manifestation, where the beings from unmanifest, they become manifest, and from manifest, they become unmanifest, in this whole cycle that keeps on happening. And this also happens to Brahmaji. Brahmaji also becomes manifest and then unmanifest. In all this, there is a deeper unmanifest. So, parastasmatu bhavaha anyaha, there's a deeper unmanifest, which is avyakta and sanatanaha. It is eternal. That is Brahman. Yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. That Brahman, which is eternal, in that everything becomes dissolved and everything rises again, and everything becomes dissolved and everything rises again. But that Brahman stays as it is. It is never created nor destroyed. It is like the screen upon which the movie becomes unmanifest and again it becomes manifest. So Brahman is that screen, and that is our real nature. And he says here that that avyakta, that deeper unmanifest, is called akshara. It's called imperishable. And this is the ultimate realization. And upon understanding or realizing which, there is no more return. This is the ultimate abode, means this is the ultimate nature of Bhagavan, of Ishvara. There's no return because there's no departure. That's a real self. And then he begins to say that this Purusha, this Akshara Purusha, this imperishable reality, how do we realize it? Through Ananya Bhakti, through single-pointed devotion. And this ultimate Purusha is where all beings are, situated, and it is that which pervades all beings. Now, one thing to note here is that this path is a path of realization ultimately. right? So we are Brahman in our true essence, true being, but we have to recognize that and realize that. And this recognition should be so full and so complete that we disappear. Sometimes on the spiritual path, what happens is we gain glimpses. So let us say we are traveling to the moon. We are traveling to the moon. And sometimes we will see a little light of the moon. If you can, please be on mute. Right. So sometimes we will see a little light of the moon, little part. And then we will close our eyes and we'll forget about it. And then at another point, we'll see a little bit more of the moon. Yeah, a little bit more, maybe a quarter of the moon, a sliver of the moon. And then after that, we will forget about it. Maybe we listened to some satsang and we saw it, and then we forget about it. Then maybe we see half of the moon. We see half of the moon, but we just again forget about it. At some point in time, we see the whole moon and we actually are able to get to that moon. And upon doing that, we ourselves disappear. There's that realization of that complete and full moon. So what we're trying to say here is, in the path of knowledge, sometimes we get glimpses wherein we kind of understand that yes, we could be Brahman, we are Brahman, and then again we seem to forget and it fades away. And then at another time it becomes more and more. The recognition becomes more and more, but it fades away again. And again it becomes deeper and it keeps fading away. And it's fading away because our ego is pulling us back to the world. Some part of our ego is saying, what if you realize the truth? What is going to happen to everybody in the family? What's going to happen to the job, the career, the whole world? At some point, the ego keeps pulling us to the world, thinking that everything will go wrong. So as long as the ego pulls us and keeps pulling us to the world, we will only get glimpses. At a certain point in time, realization dawns when we fully not only glimpse it, but we recognize it. And when we recognize it, the ego, we disappear into it. So because the ego disappears into the self, because the ego dissolves into the self, like that salt doll merging into the ocean, then there's definitely no return. Because after that, the self alone remains. So this is what it is. That tad dhamma paramam mama, understanding my real nature from where there is absolutely no return, is because the ego completely gets dissolved in the self. And it's not a glimpse, it's not a glance, but it is a realization. It's a realization that has to happen. Right? So this is where we have to go, how deep we have to go. But let us say that we're not prepared to go there. Let us say we are seeking on the path and the life is about to end. Life will end because of prarabdha karma. Whenever prarabdha karma ends, then the life of that jiva ends. So we are seeking on the path, but we don't have the full realization of the self. Where do we go? What do we attain? So now that is the topic that Sri Krishna is going to take in this chapter. So today we are starting from verse number 23. Yatra kale tvanavrittim
Yatra kale tvanavrittim
avrittim chaiva yoginaha
Avrittim chaiva yoginaha
prayata yanti tam kalam
प्रयाता यान्ति तं कालम्
Vakshyami Bharatarshobha.
वक्ष्यामि भरतर्षभ
Yatra kale tvanavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginaha prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatarshobha. So here it says yatra, where, kale. Kale here means marge. It doesn't mean time, but what it means is path. So it's talking about the path here. Now, at what path to anavrittim? There is non-return, and avrittim, there is return, where even yoginaha, the yogis, prayataha, who are departing or dying, yanti, to where they go, tam kalam, means tam margam, that path, vakshyami, I will tell you, bharatar shabha, O chief of the Bharatas, or O Arjuna. So now at what path departing yogis go, never to return, as also to return, that path I will tell you, chief of the Bharatas. So if one has not realized the self here and now in this very life, then there is an opportunity for krama mukti. So there are two travelers, two paths that are going to be taken. And why are there two paths? Because now these are two people who do spiritual practices. So these verses that are coming up are not talking about jnani, are not talking about somebody who is realized. Because somebody who is realized, they're already reveling in the self. No question. They don't have to go anywhere. And it is not talking about the one who is living wrongfully, who is doing a lot of papa karma, or who is doing a lot of sinful acts. It's not talking about that person. It's talking about these people who are sincere on their path. They are striving and they are doing spiritual practices. Where will they go? And this depends on the nature of the spiritual practices. Those who do karma yoga, social service, outreach to people, those who serve, those who even do puja, those who do some rituals, those who do a lot of karma, they will go to that path which is Krishna Gati. Krishna Gati means, it will come, that explanation will come, but it's the darker path. And those who perform upasana means those who perform contemplative exercises, contemplative, just meditation, single pointed contemplation on their ishta devata, on a form of Bhagavan or Bhagavati. They merge their mind into that. They go to the Shukla Gati. Shukla Gati means the higher path, a brighter path. So those who do deep upasana, they go to the higher path, and the higher path is the one of no return, anavritti. It has no return because they go to Brahma loka. They go to Brahma loka. What is Brahma loka? Brahma loka is the highest realm, highest heavenly abode possible. And this Brahma loka is also known as Vaikuntha, or Shiva loka, or Devi loka, Saket loka. It is that, all of that is nothing but Brahma loka. So it's the highest heavenly abode possible. And in that Brahma loka, why there's no return is because there is a great chance for gaining the knowledge of the self. So those that gain the knowledge of the self in Brahmaloka, there's no return for them. But then those who go to that Krishna Gati means those who do karma, just karma, without upasana, their path is avritti. It is of coming back. So they will again come back to this world, and again they will go through the entire cycle of samsara. So these two paths are there, these two margas, and now Shri Krishna said, I am going to speak about each of them to you. Right? One is the path of no return, and one is the path of return. One is the path of no return because it is gradual liberation or krama muktihi, and one is the path of again coming back into this world. So let us see. First, he will talk about Shukla Marga or Shukla Gati. This is in verse number 24. Agne Jyotirah Shuklaha
अग्निर्ज्योतिरः शुक्लः
Shanmasa Uttarayanam
षण्मास उत्तरायणम्
Tatra Prayata Gachanti
तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति
Brahma Brahmavido Janaha
ब्रह्मविदो जनाः
Agnirjyotirah Shuklaha Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahmavido Janaha. So what does it say here? Agnihi, fire, Jyotihi, light, Ahaha, day, Shuklaha, the bright fortnight, Shanmasa, Uttarayanam, the 6 months of the northern solstice, Tatra Prayataha, those that go there, Gachanti, the departed, Prayataha, Gachanti, they go there. And where do they go? Brahma. Brahma here doesn't mean Brahman, it means Ishvara, Saguna Brahma. And who are they? Brahmavidaha, the knowers of Brahman. Knowers of Brahman doesn't mean Brahman, it means the knowers of Ishvara. And who are they? Janaha, these people. So fire, light, daytime, bright fortnight, 6 months of the northern solstice. Following this path, beings who know Brahman go to Brahman. So what does this mean? So first we have to understand that all of these that are listed are not actual things, they are deities. So it's not that if somebody passes away in the daytime, they go to Brahma loka. Or not if somebody passes away in Uttarayana, they go to Brahma loka. No, it's not that. These are deities. These are deities. They are guides. So in our Shastra, it is said that when a jiva leaves their body, and if they have been a very spiritual, devout being, then they will be escorted. They will be guided. They will be guided by these deities. Who are these deities? There are 4. So Agni Jyotihi, you can take that as 1. So they will be guided with a deity of effulgent light. Then Ahaha, they will be guided by the deity of day, the deity who is very, very bright. Shuklaha, they will be guided by the deity of the bright fortnight. And then Shanmasaha Uttarayanam, they will be guided by the deity of the northern solstice. So these 4 deities will guide them. And how will they be guided? One will take to the other. So first of all, let us say they come to Agni Jyoti Devi, then they go to a certain point, and then they will be again escorted by Ahaha Devi. And then that will be, they will be escorted, then they will be guided by Shukla Devi or Devata. So they will be guided like this and escorted by different Devis, Devatas, until they get to that Brahma loka. It's like when we go on a yatra. No? So we've gone to Kailash, let us say. So when you get to Nepal, a group of people will escort you. And then once you get to the border of Nepal, now the people from Tibet will escort you, a different set of people. Then once you get to Kailash, then a different set of people will escort you and take you to that abode. Huh? So in the same way, there are these deities. There are these deities that will escort that jeeva. And who is this jeeva? This jeeva is a Brahmavid. As I said, the one who is the knower of Saguna Brahman, the one who has done deep contemplation on Ishwara. Whatever their ishta devta is, they've done deep contemplation on Ishwara. They've done deep contemplation on Om or Gayatri mantra. When somebody has lived their life like this, then they go to that particular loka. They go to that particular loka. And this, we might find that what is this? What is our Shastra saying? Is this really true? Is this not true? But some people actually have this near-death experience. I don't know if you've spoken to anybody who has that or if you've read any books about that. But some people have come and told me that they're in the hospital and they're lying down and the whole body is pretty much inert and inactive, but they felt like they are taken to another realm. And it's very bright, full of wisdom, full of knowledge. They felt that they've been taken there. So this is what happens to that particular jeeva. Okay? Now, that jeeva who has not done any upasana, only karma, where will that jiva go? What will happen? Here now, we will see the next verse, verse number 25. Dhumo ratristatha Krishnaha
धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः
Shanmasa Dakshinayanam
षण्मासा दक्षिणायनम्
Tatra Chandramasam Jyotihi
तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिः
Yogi Prapya Nivartate
योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते
Dhumo Ratristatha Krishnaha Shanmasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotihi Yogi Prapya Nivartate. So now it's speaking about the world of return. So if you know that we have Bhuhu, Bhuva, Swaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam, 7 high heavenly worlds, right? That Satyam is Brahmaloka. So from that Brahmaloka, mostly there's no return because people have that chance to gain knowledge of the self. But everything from Bhuhu, Bhuva, Swaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, those other worlds, then they have return. They have return. So it says here that Dhumaha, smoke, Ratrihi, night. And again, these are the devatas. Okay? Tatha Krishnaha, the dark fourth night. Shanmasa Dakshinayanam, the 6 months, the southern course of the sun. Tatra, there, Chandramasam Jyotihi, they attain the lunar light. Chandramasam Jyotihi, the lunar light. Yogi, that person is still called a yogi because they have done a lot of karma yoga. Prapya, having attained that, nivartate, that being will again come back. So, smoke, nighttime, the dark fourth night, 6 months of the southern solstice, attaining by these to the moon, the lunar light, the yogi returns. So the devata, the deity of dhumaha, that's smoke. Ratrihi, that deity of nighttime. And Krishna, that deity of the dark fourth night. Shanmasa Dakshinayanam, the deity of the southern solstice. So they will go through the Dakshinaya, Dakshinayana Marga. They will go to the path of the moon. Earlier we saw the path of the sun. This one, they will go to the path of the moon and being escorted there. And there's still light, there's still beauty, there's still wonder. But it is a returnable journey. It's like some of them will go on different levels. You know, in the airplane, there's economy, premium economy, business class, first class, but you go and you come. So in the same way, even if there might be different gradations or different levels of these heavenly realms, they will go and again they will come back. So the crux of this is we cannot escape our karma or a prarabdha. Whatever we've been doing, whatever sadhana we'll be doing, we do, that will reap its results. There is a beautiful Sanskrit subhashita, I think I've shared with you before, that even if there are 1,000 calves, there's 1,000 calves, the mother cow will find out exactly who her calf is. She will find it, even if there's 1,000. In the same way, even if there are thousands of beings, that karma phala, that results of our action, it will find us. It will come to us, it will find us, and it will give us that result. So whichever path we are, that's where we will go. There was one student. So all of these conversations were happening, and he said, Mahatma Gandhi ji, when he passed away, he said the name of Ram. So I'm pretty sure he has gone to have a heavenly abode. He's gone to heaven. The teacher said, how do you know? How can you prove it? So he said, when I go to heaven, I'll see him, I'll know. And then the teacher said, but what if he goes to hell? The student said, then you go, you check. You check if he goes to hell. So like that, Gurudev also again writes, as we think, really so we become. So whatever we're thinking, whatever sadhana we have, the deeper that we're going into it, that is where we end up. Now he's going to talk a little bit more about these paths. Okay, he's going to conclude in verse number 26. He's going to conclude the idea of these paths. Shukla Krishna Gati yet.
Shukla Krishna Gati yet.
Jagata Shashvate Mate.
Jagata Shashvate Mate.
Ekaya Yatyanavrittim.
Ekaya Yatyanavrittim.
Anyaya Vartate Punaha.
Anyaya Vartate Punaha.
Shukla Krishna Gati yete. Jagata Shashvate Mate. Ekaya Yatyanavrittim. Anyaya Vartate Punaha. So what he says here is Shukla Krishna. So these two paths, the bright and the dark, Gati, these two paths, he, verily, ete, these, Jagataha, they are of the world. And how are they? Shashvate mate, they are thought of as eternal. Ekaya yati, by one goes, anavritim, one does not return. Anyaya, by another, avartate punaha, one returns. again. So the path of light and the path of darkness available for the world are verily thought to be both eternal. By the one path of light, a man goes to return not, but by the path of darkness, he returns again. So here it says that Shukla Krishna, why is it called this bright and dark? It's called this because Shukla, bright, resembles knowledge, resembles a path of knowledge. Whenever there is light, we can easily see things, we can hear things clearly, we can go about our day. But whenever it's dark, we can't really see too much. A lot of accidents and things like that happen in dark. So Shukla is associated with knowledge. So it's called bright because it's the path where one can gain knowledge. And Krishna here is the path which is not of knowledge, which is that path of still in ignorance, because one has not ascended to higher states of being. And these two, they're eternally there in Jagat. Means again, people are being pulled in these two directions all the time. So it's pulling us towards upasana, or it's pulling us towards karma. It's an eternal pull that's happening to us all the time. And by one, there is no return, but by the other, there is a return. So I'm just going to read something beautiful that Gurudev has written. It is on the commentary of this verse. It says, it's on my page 77. Subjectively considered, this stanza may perhaps have a secret suggestion to make the true yogis, meaning the sincere meditators. Even in an elderly sadhaka who has been on the path for years, the existing subconscious vasanas in him may now and then come up to insist upon his extrovertedness. At such moments of inner revolt in us, we as seekers and meditators need not at all get flabbergasted, because as the Lord explains, the aspirations for the higher life and temptations for the lower existence are the two opposing forces that are eternally at tug of war with each other. So very beautifully he explains, see, for a whole evolution of a seeker, they normally move from karma yoga to bhakti yoga to jnana yoga. So karma yoga, slowly, still actions will go on, but little bit more will be dedicated towards bhakti yoga, towards some upasana, towards some contemplative practice. And then in bhakti yoga, as one begins to feel the presence of their ishta devta in and everywhere, that slowly moves to jnana yoga. So these three, karma, bhakti, jnana, it's even the way the Bhagavad Gita has been structured. Karma is chapters 1 to 6, bhakti 7 to 12, jnana 13 to 18. That way a jiva evolves. So as we evolve, there's going to be a tendency, an extroverted tendency to pull us out. Pull, go, do this, go, be part of this, go into that, go into this. And there's going to be a little pull that's going to want us to go inward. It's okay. Be quiet. Sit quietly. So whenever we have this dilemma, what should I do? Always choose going in instead of going out. As we get deeper in our sadhana, always choose going in instead of going out. Because remember, that self is deep within. It's deep within. It's beyond the body, the mind, the intellect. It's deep within. If we are going to keep going out, it's going to be very difficult to get established in this reality. So as we mature, as we grow, that should be our direction. When we have these two opposing forces, the pull towards the world and the pull towards going within, turn within. Turn within. And this is also so deep that even in the contemplative, meditative state, sometimes we are sitting down quietly, thinking of our ishta devta, and some new ideas pop up. Some ideas, some art, some poetry, all of these things pop up. Remember, that is nothing but a distraction. Again, that's taking us out. Huh? All these things are just unnecessarily taking us out. So keep picking the thing that takes us inward, even if there's this eternal pull, right? And then we can go beyond these two worlds, the one of return, the one of non-return. Now, he says, what is the gain in knowing these two paths? Let us see in verse number 27. Naite sriti partha janan
नैते सृति पार्थ जानन्
yogi muhyati kaschana
योगी मुह्यति कश्चन
tasmat sarveshu kaleshu
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
yoga yukto bhavarjuna
योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन
naite sriti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. So somebody might ask Bhagavan Shri Krishna, why are you explaining these two paths to us? What is the reason for it? He says, Ete. Ete means these two, Sriti, these two paths, O Partha, O Arjuna, Janan, knowing this, the yogi, na muhyati is not deluded. That na in the beginning, you have to put it with muhyati. The yogi is not deluded. Kashchana. No one can delude that yogi anymore. Tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, in all times, yoga yuktaha, be steadfast in yoga. Yoga yuktaha bhava Arjuna. So, knowing these paths, O Partha, no yogi is deluded. Yes, no yogi, Kashtana yogi, no yogi is deluded. Therefore, at all times, be steadfast in yoga, O Arjuna. So now if you remember, the seventh question of this chapter is, how can I attain you at the time of death? O Bhagwan, when this body dies, how can I attain you? And he said, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha, means in all times, you just remember me and do your dharma. So in this verse, again, he's bringing that same point. He's saying in all times, just be yoked into me. Keep me as the center of your life. Keep me as the purpose of your life. Have all actions dedicated unto me. And when you're sitting quietly, let the mind just merge into me. So perform that karma as karma yoga. And when you're sitting quietly, do that upasana. Think of me. Have that remembrance of me. Let me be your Shruti and through the whole day. Let me, my name, my being be your background Shruti. Let me be so much a part of your life that you feel me. We feel that this home is Bhagavan's temple. This food is Bhagavan's prasad. This work is Bhagavan's work. Let me feel you in every single thing. And if we become that yoga yuktaha, if we become centered in Bhagavan at all times, then we will never be deluded by this. We will never be deluded into again coming back into this samsara. So therefore, Arjuna, be that yoga yuktaha. Now, in the final verse, Bhagavan Shri Krishna concludes, Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva
वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपस्सु चैव
daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam
दानेषु यत्पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम्
atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva
अत्येति तत्सर्वमिदं विदित्वा
yogi param sthanamupaithi chadyam.
योगी परं स्थानमुपैति चाद्यम्
Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanamupaithi chadyam. So what he says here, Vedeshu means in the Vedas, Yagneshu in sacrifices, Tapassu in austerities, Cha Eva, and also Daneshu in gifts. Yat Punya Phalam Pradishtam, whatever fruit of merit, Punya Phalam Pradishtam is declared, Atyeti Tat Sarvam Idam. One Atyeti goes beyond Sarvam Idam, all of this. Viditva, having known this truth, yogi, that yogi, paramsthanam, attains that supreme abode. Paramsthanam upeti adyam, that primeval, essential abode. So whether the fruit of merit is declared in the scriptures as springing up from the study of the Vedas, from the performance of sacrifices, from practice of austerities, and from charity, beyond all this goes the yogin, for who, having known these two paths, attains to the supreme primeval essence. So, in spiritual life, there's a lot of punya. Punya means merit that we can gain by several practices. So one practice we can do is Veda Adhyayanam. Veda Adhyayanam means study of the Vedas, study to understand what the Vedas are really saying. And then from that, tapas, we can perform many austerities like fasting, like doing japa, like doing puja, like that. Many austerities we can perform. Yajna. Yajna means selfless, dedicated service. We can do a lot of karma yoga also, and that gives us a lot of peace of mind, purity of mind. Daneshu, dana. We can also do charity and help people. Now, all of these are wonderful, and they all have great results. A study of the Veda gives us knowledge. Knowledge meaning here, knowledge, just knowledge of what's in the Veda. Here it's not the realization of Brahman. Here just knowledge of what's in the Veda. And then that tapas gives us the ability to control our senses and mind. That yajna gives us chitta shuddhi, purity of mind. Dana, it reduces, or charity reduces our ego, our sense of I and mine. So all of these have beautiful results, but sometimes we get caught up in them. While they are good, they are great, we should involve ourselves in them. Let us not forget to go deeper. So that yogi understands all the results of these practices, whatever four were mentioned, atyeti, and goes beyond them. Because viditva, having known these two paths, having known that there's a limitation in spiritual practices. If there are certain spiritual practices I do, I may come back. But if I do deeper spiritual practices, then I don't have to come back. And what to talk of realizing the self, what to talk of realization of who we are. So that yogi crosses all of this. is not into all of this anymore. And param sthanam upeti, and that yogi attains the supreme abode, which is that source, that truth, that Brahman. What is that Brahman? Akshara Brahma. Akshara Brahma, the one that is the title of this chapter. So remember, as we grow into our sadhana, we have to take deeper and deeper sadhanas. We cannot just stick to the same sadhana. And as we do our sadhana also, sometimes people have the habit of doing so many different things. We have to increase the quality of our sadhana. So it doesn't mean that we have to do more. It means now take up less but go deeper. See, what happens in the beginning is we like to take up a lot of things, and it gives us, what it does is it gives us the ability to become disciplined. Yeah, I have to do this practice, I have to do that practice, I have to do this practice. So it gives us the ability to be very disciplined, and we get up and we do it. This is very good. So in the beginning, one should take up what they need to take up to be absolutely disciplined. Now, when that discipline sets in, now we have to, sadhana has to take in another level where we have to look at the quality and depth of that sadhana. Now I have the ability to get up early. Now let me go deeper into that sadhana. Let that quality now increase. And once that quality increases, once the mind becomes so subtle, then that mind itself will inquire. Like in Upadesha Sara, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji gives very beautiful exposition first on Karma Yoga. Then he moves on to Bhakti Yoga. Then he moves on to Ashtanga Yoga. And then after that, he says all of these are for the mind. But in Jnana Yoga, Manasam tu kim, Margane krite, Naiva Manasam, Marga Arjavat. Now inquire into what is the mind. There is no mind. This is the direct path. So this is the method to reach or to attain Akshara Brahma. We'll read the concluding verse. Om Tat Saditi. Om Tat Saditi. Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu.
श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु
Upanishatsu.
उपनिषत्सु
Brahma Vidyayam.
ब्रह्मविद्यायां
Yoga Shastre.
योगशास्त्रे
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade.
श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे
Akshara Brahma Yogo Nama.
अक्षरब्रह्मयोगो नाम
Ashtamodhyayah.
अष्टमोऽध्यायः.
So with this, with Bhagavan's grace, Puja Gurudev's blessings, we have completed Akshara Brahma Yoga. Now for the remaining time, we will chant the whole chapter, just so that we can get a nice glimpse of it. And then next week, we will do the summary of the entire chapter 8. All right? So let us chant these verses together so that they are in our mind. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Ashtamo Adhyayah Akshara Brahma Yogaha Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adhibhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adhidevam Kim Uchyate Adhiyajñah Katham Kotra Dehesmin Madhusudana Prayanakale cha katham Nyeyosi niyatatmabihi Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavodhyatma Muchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha Visargah कर्म संयितः अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः पुरुषश्चादिदैवतम् अधियज्ञोऽहमेवात्र देहे देहभृतां वर। अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः। यं यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजन्त्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भावभावितः। तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु मामनुस्मरयुध्य च मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः। अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थानुचिन्तयन्। कविं पुराणमनुशासितारम् अणोरणीयां समनुस्मरेद्यः सर्वस्य धातारमचिन्त्य रूपम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात्। प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्। यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये। सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम्। अनन्यचेताः सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः। मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतं नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः। आब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोकाः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते। सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् अहर्यद्ब्रह्मणो विदुः रात्रिं युगसहस्रान्तां ते होरात्रविदो जनाः। अव्यक्ताद्व्यक्तयः सर्वाः प्रभवन्त्यः रागमे रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके। भूतग्रामस्य एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवन्त्यः रागमे। परस्तस्मात्तु भावोऽन्यः अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यः स सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति। अव्यक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तः तमाहुः परमां गतिं यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम। पुरुषः स परः पार्थ भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया यस्यान्तस्थानि भूतानि येन सर्वमिदं ततं। यत्र काले त्वनावृत्तिम् आवृत्तिं चैव योगिनः प्रयाता यान्ति तं कालं वक्ष्यामि भरतर्षभ अग्निर्ज्योतिरः शुक्लः षण्मासा उत्तरायणं तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्मविदो जनाः धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनं तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिः योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गति ह्येते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकया यात्यनावृत्तिम् अन्यया वर्तते पुनः नैते स्मृति पार्थ जानन् योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपस्सु चैव दानेषु यत्पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम् अत्येति तत्सर्वमिदं विदित्वा योगी परं स्थानमुपैति चाद्यम् ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे अक्षरब्रह्मयोगो नाम अष्टमोऽध्यायः. We'll chant the first verse to symbolize that it's a continuation. Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidevam kim uchyate. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.